Hola, amigas y amigos. Welcome back to the Greenbacks Show. I am your host, Nest Vargas. I'm going to help you find peaceful prosperity by sharing practical money tips and proven mindset hacks. I'm a certified financial planner with over 12 years of experience and a first-gen kid who now makes over 6 figures only working 3 months per year. If you're a Latino or Latina looking to dramatically improve your current situation, well, this is the show for you. In this show, you will hear real-world examples of what other successful people are doing to make more money and live a better life. Let's dive into the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Greenbacks Show. I am your host, Nestor Vargas, and I am so excited you are here. We all know that goal setting is important and that really successful people practice this to a high degree. But why is it that some of us fail at meeting our goals and some of us actually are more successful at meeting those goals? Luckily for us, we have our guest, Harry Lopez, who is a business coach. He has helped numerous Latinos and Latinas launch their business in a successful way. And as far as being a coach, you have to help people set goals and follow through. So we're going to get a lot of great feedback with Harry. I'm also going to share some tips that I have learned over the past 12 months of really diving into goal setting and identity shift. So with that said, further ado, I want to say welcome, Harry. How are you?
I'm so good, Nestor. Thank you for having me. I'm joining you from Thailand.
That's right. So for you guys who are hearing, it's 9 o'clock my time, and Harry, it's about 11 o'clock p.m. his time in Thailand. So thank you for being here and having the grace. So give us a quick summary of what led you to what you're doing today, Harry.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm so honored to be with you here on the Greenbacks Podcast. My name is Harry Lopez. I'm a full-time transformational coach. I've been in the coaching space for about, I would say, 8 years. Full-time for 5 years, and before that I was doing it more part-time with my full-time job and etc. But I started Launch Latinx 4 years ago out of a need I was seeing in the community. I was just a private coach working one-on-one with individuals, really ambitious Latinos from all different sectors, all different backgrounds, from finance to tech to social media to arts, influencers. And what I noticed is that a couple different things were things that I noticed. One is that the Latinos that I was working with were lacking in community with other Latinos. They were estranged from one another. They were the only Latinos in those spaces. So I saw an opportunity to create community where Latinos could meet each other and mastermind and bond with each other. And number two, the biggest thing I saw that was holding back a lot of my clients was a story or a narrative around self-worth, a worthiness conversation that was taking over their lives. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. So one conversation of I'm not worthy to amount to something. And these are all individuals who had already amounted to a great level of success, but were ready to achieve an even greater level of success, or to venture into a new industry, or to launch an idea. And that's the third thing. A lot of the clients that I was working with, they wanted to launch something. And so out of all these questions and observations and the things that I was witnessing, I started Launch Latinx, which is a movement for Latino leaders to launch their movements out into the world and ultimately to launch themselves and to do both the outer work of the business, strategic marketing, advertising, building a team, becoming the leader that you need to become, and also the inner work of really transforming yourself from the inside out, because I believe that that's how transformation happens. When we're willing and courageous to go within, to look within ourselves, to understand what are our shadows, where are our setbacks, what are the stories or limiting beliefs that we've bought into about ourselves over a lifetime. And a lot of these things happen in our childhood. And so it's behind the scenes. Externally, it is a business transformation launch program. But what it really is a healing container. It's a self-worth accelerator where Latinos are coming into their fullness, the fullness of who they were always meant to be in the world. And so that's really the work that I've been doing.
I love it. And I'm so glad that you're doing it because you're coaching me now, right? And so absolutely a lot of the work that has been happening for me personally over the past 12 months has been internal, transformational, has been identity shifting and understanding that. So that's a good segue to talk about when it comes to setting and accomplishing goals. What do you think separates those who are successful versus those that are unsuccessful?
Okay, this is a really big one right here. We're going to get into it. Goal setting. So I want to simplify this conversation around goals because I think goals can get folks can get really intimidated by goal setting. What I've noticed is that people either get really into the goal setting process and they start with a bang and they have these really audacious goals in the very beginning of the year. And then life happens, as we know, and then they sort of trickle off. Or people just completely avoid it, right? They go into their avoidance patterns and they're like, what's the point? I'm just going to set my New Year's intention of my one word and just kind of like wing it and see, like, trust that life will happen. What I know to be true after working with so many different entrepreneurs, specifically entrepreneurs of color, right? Latino entrepreneurs, not just Latino, but other entrepreneurs of color as well, is that they get very specific about what it is that they're wanting to attain. Specificity is huge, right? The clarity, because a lot of people, they're kind of in this like limbo in between, and they know that they want to achieve more, and they know that they want more out of life. They're not getting clear enough. And they tell themselves, maybe I want to, get a new job, or maybe I want to start a business and doing, service work, but they're not willing to go the extra mile and get even clearer and ask themselves those really important critical questions. And unfortunately, sometimes it's almost beyond us. And sometimes we need that outside support. So that's why I'm a really huge proponent of coaches, just, support externally, accountability, mentors to really support you in your thinking about what would take you to the next level. The next thing that I find that really successful people do with goal setting is that they're not setting just really realistic goals. They're being audacious. They're willing to step outside of the confines of what they imagine possible for their lives, and they're being pretty unrealistic. They're setting goals that maybe perhaps are, to the average person, are unrealistic. Like, you can't do that in 6 months. You can't do that this year. That's going to take you like 15 years. But the reality is, why not, right? And I think it was Peter Thiel that says, take the 10-year plan and see how you can achieve it in 6 months. And I think that's another thing that I see high achievers do, is that they are setting lofty goals. Another thing that I see high achievers do is that not only are they setting specific, very ambitious, audacious goals, but they are backing it up with, like, they're doing the backwards planning. They're planning for their system. They're planning their daily habits, or what I like to call daily value producing activities that are going to set them up for success. And on top of that, they are tracking and measuring their success, because what is measured is managed. And so they have tracker systems at the end of the day, or weekly benchmark systems where they're able to reflect and take a look at what was created and accomplished and what wasn't, and what was in the gap. So they're constantly in this state of inquiry and asking themselves questions around how they're doing, how they're performing, where they're falling short, what can be improved. And I think that that's a really beautiful place to be.
Yes, I love that. When you think about identity, right? How important is identity with meeting your goals?
Oh, I think this is a really important conversation here. And I mean, just looking at your evolution as you've been evolving into your own, personal and business brand, like, that identity conversation is so critical. And it's something that not enough people are really talking about. And I'll give you an example. I used to coach teachers. That's how I started in the world of coaching. And I used to see teachers in their first year of teaching and their second year of teaching. In the first year of becoming teachers, people that were just out of college had just gone through a teacher preparation program, and they didn't step into the full identity of seeing themselves as teachers. So they didn't really buy into the essence and the way of being and the mindset of what it requires to really lead a classroom. Because what we know from research is that to be a successful teacher is to be a successful leader, is to be the leader of your classroom. But what you see happen from year 1 to year 2 is that they have the time, they start having the repetition, the consistency, they're committed to the process. If they are committed, they start, through the time and through the training and the work, they start adopting the mindset of a teacher. They start stepping into the full identity of being a teacher. And I think it's the same with entrepreneurs, because with entrepreneurship is ultimately leadership. And so the identity piece of really embodying whatever it is that you desire to be now, not waiting until you arrive at the goal, but arriving at that mindset right now. We have it shifted in our culture. We think that it's do, be, have. We do the goal, we do the actions, we do the social media posts, we go viral, and then we're gonna be it, and then we're gonna have what we want. But in reality, I believe that it's shifted. And I know that there's a narrative going around now that I wanna reiterate today. It's because I know I've seen it work powerfully in my life and with all the entrepreneurs that I've worked with. And in reality, it's be and do and have. Be the full vibration, step into the full vibration of the person that is accomplishing that goal. Like whoever it is that you desire to be in 5 years from now, like really visualize, slow down, take in, who is that person? What is he like? How is he operating in the world? What is the vibration, his vision for the world? How does he walk into the room? How is he feeling? How do people experience him? Like be that and embody that today, right now. And the embodiment work is so powerful. And what the world needs now more than ever before are embodied leaders who are unafraid, who are convicted and are clear on their vision, on their mission. So be that. And then from that state, do it. Go make it happen. And then you're going to have it. So again, be, do, have. And I say that with such passion because I was the one who was trying to do it the other way around, where I was doing the work. I was like, Nestor, you and I have talked about how I used to like go to the coffee shops and I used to sit down for 14 hours and just crank out work. Like it just wasn't working. I was accomplishing work, but I wasn't feeling fulfilled. My nervous system was out of whack. Like it just wasn't a good place to be. So be it, embody him, embody her, embody them, whoever they are. If you want to be Jennifer Lopez, if you want to be Lady Gaga, like if that's the essence of how you want to, of who you desire to be in the world, embody that state now. Start being it. Start acting like it. Like the subconscious mind is like an innocent child. You start telling yourself things. You start like breathing. You start like feeling affirmations. You start telling yourself, I'm a badass. I'm so powerful. I'm amazing. I'm beautiful. I'm this, I'm that. And you start believing it. Like you are, like we're so malleable as humans. So you be it, you do it, you have it. So the identity is freaking important. So powerful.
Yes, I you said a couple of things that caught my attention, and I want to elaborate a little more on, kind of put my twist on it. There's this book where there's the writer and there's the elephant, right? Like there's a human on the elephant and the elephant. And when you see someone walking that elephant, there's this kind of thought that the person is actually in power of telling this elephant where to go. But realistically, that's not realistically, right? Like the elephant will ultimately, if he or she wants to go somewhere, it's going to go that way. And so kind of bring it full circle to subconscious. Your subconscious is the elephant. Your subconscious will drive your behavior long term. Your conscious right now can only have so much impact on what you do long term. Your subconscious is always going to win. And from an identity shift perspective, I want to echo what you said, is that people set goals and then they say, well, when I accomplish this goal, then I'm that person. And if you think that way, then you've never really embodied, like you said, that person. And when you see an obstacle, when you have a setback, it's going to be much easier for you to give up. It's kind of like a person that eats healthy. It's already embedded in their mind. They already do it. They believe it. They are a healthy person. They might have a day or two. They might have a week where they don't eat healthy, but they come back to that healthiness because that's who they are. That identity shift has to happen. And it happened for me a little less than 8 months ago. I went to an identity shift, right? I was a financial advisor. In my mind, I was a financial advisor. And then I shifted to saying, I am a social media influencer. I am a podcaster who wants to help the Latino community use the stock market to create wealth. And that identity shift has led me to create a podcast like this one that we're in, to show up consistently on social media, even though it's freaking hard. It's so hard. And I've had so many setbacks, but that's who I am now. And I'm not going to, go back to just being a financial advisor. So thank you for showing us that journey, that the way that we really should have that journey.
Yeah. Quickly around what you just said is that like we are the conscious creators. In the quickness that we're able to snap our fingers, we are able to transform and to literally step into a new version of ourselves just simply because you say so. And I just want to make sure that really lands with folks that are listening, that you are worthy at any moment of saying, hey, my life's not working. I want to step into something different. Or, hey, this is going really well, but I also want to do this. And if you want it, you can have it, right? And oftentimes the one thing that holds us back is that we don't think we're worthy of that. Who do I think I am? ¿Quién te crees? Right?
Así
We
es.
have these stories that come up for us. So I just want to make sure that that lands for folks. Like if you want
Yes.
it, you can have it.
Absolutely. You said something that kind of caught my attention, and maybe we can talk about this. Psychological flexibility to meeting a goal. What does that mean to you?
Oh, I was just reading about this. It's so interesting. Well, when I was reading about it, they were referring to visualizations. Is that where you were seeing that?
Where I'm headed, and maybe I'll start and you can back me up on this, is that one of the other things that I see in myself that I also have done that I no longer will do is setting goals and then creating this path to accomplishing that goal. But if that path doesn't work out, then I'm done with that goal because it didn't work out. So in essence, there is a very rigid mindset of here's how this is done, and the outcome is solely dependent on this particular path versus being psychological flexible and saying, hey, this path that I tried to meet this goal didn't work out. How else can I meet this? What is the other path to meet this goal? And continue to have that goal be the guiding light, but now you do it in a different way because you're psychological flexible. You're not stuck. You're not married to the process. You're married to the outcome.
I love it. I was at a Christian church once and the pastor said, marry the mission, date the methods. And I love that. Yeah, like you stay so convicted on the mission and the mission is clear. It's like, you know where you want to go. You know what the final destination is, but you're incredibly flexible about how you get there. You're dating, you're flirting around with, hey, do I want to go about it this way? Do I want to go about it that way? Like any way that, I mean, you can create it any way you want. And I say that also again, I just really want to bring this home that there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there. And when you're first starting off in your entrepreneur journey, and I don't know how many entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast. I don't know how many people that listen to this podcast are entrepreneurs, but if you are an entrepreneur, I know that it's very easy to go into the comparison game and be like, hey, I need to do it this way because this person's doing it this way. And that has taken a lot of time for me to really dissect and to really unravel. Is like in the beginning of the coaching game, I was working with a lot of coaches and, I was taking this work from this coach, and I was taking these techniques and this style from that coach and this whatever. But like, I just had to like zoom out and just go within and ask myself, who are you, Harry? What do you want? What are you about? What is your messaging going to be? Like, how are you going to be different? Because there's a lot of noise out there. So you just really have to tune in and slow it down and just get very curious. Like, how do I make this the most me? Like, how is this going to be most me? Right? And I think that pertains to our goals too. And I just want to create a connection here going to the goal setting. Because when we create goals, I mean, unconsciously at times, we may be creating goals from our wounds, from our shadows. Like, oh, maybe I should have this because if I have this, people will love me more. Or maybe I should go after that goal because if I have that goal, then I'm going to be seen as important and it's going to validate my own self-worth. I just want to say for people that are listening, like, I just want to call BS on all of that. Like, really sit with yourself, slow everything down, tune out the noise of the world, go into your meditation, do your Palo Santo, put in your music, go into prayer, listen to Hillsong, like sing whatever it is that needs to happen for you to really tune in to the full vibration of you and ask yourself, what do you really want in this one precious life? You just get one life, one chance. In this lifetime, like, how can this next 6 months or this year really catapult, elevate you to get closer to what you truly desire? And I say that so sincerely and compassionately because I know that there are people that have forgotten to dream. I know that there are people that are disconnected from themselves and their goals. And if that's you, I just want to say that that's okay, that it's totally fine, that it's innocent, that you don't need to judge yourself for it. And that any moment you can decide that today is going to be the day that I transform my entire life. And I say that because I went through my dark night of the soul, whatever you want to call it, where I really needed to look within and just like completely shift everything in my life. And things were working. And to the outside person, Harry's got it all together. But no, things weren't okay. Like I was not happy. In fact, not too long ago, I sat with myself in this moment of deep like authenticity and honesty and truth and said, I'm not sure that I'm happy with how my life is going right now. I packed up all my things. I left a bunch of things. I unsubscribed from everything and I moved my life to Thailand. And I don't know what's happening while I'm here. I'm staying open, but I mean, it's really following my own bliss. So follow your aliveness, follow your own joy.
Yes.
Okay, I just went on a soapbox there, but
No,
I found it really
no.
important to do that.
That's very good. Very good. It kind of relates to the future self psychology. The fact that, yes, it's important to kind of see what other people are doing that are successful in the things that you want to do. But I would say that your future self knows what you need to do. You just need to sit and talk to your future self and hear, future self, what should I do now? Because you know that. You definitely know that. And the other thing is you learn from your past, like reflection you said earlier on. I know a lot of successful people and not many of them journal. Not many of them take the time to think about how did this week go? What worked? What didn't work? And instead of saying, this thing happened to me, reshifting that and saying, this thing happened for me. And what can I learn from it? How can I be better from that failure? Right? So I feel like we could sit here and really talk about the psychology of this all day long. But I do want to maybe shift to talking about some practical things. Like when it comes to goal setting, Harry, can you give us some practical ideas or tools to use?
Yeah. One place that I would say to start, especially now that we're literally, what day is it right now? We're January 4th, we're 4 days into the new year. I think one of the most powerful things you can do as you go into the new year is, again, going back to that reflection, is just to reflect on 2022. What happened? What didn't happen? What goals did you attain? And where did you fall short? And really closing out 2022. Like close that chapter first, get complete. And then from that, allowing those reflections to be a springboard as you create the reality of what 2023 is going to be for you. And again, going back to that future self, like keeping that future self in mind the entire way through as you're setting your intentions and your goals. I hear a lot about New Year's resolutions. I don't know that feels an alignment for me. I think it should be New Year's intentions and going into those goals. So one thing I find really powerful is to just get like really zoom out and set like a word for that is going to describe, what 2023 is going to be for you. And so I hear a lot of people say, 2023 is going to be the year of vitality, the year of focus, the year of serenity, the year of joy or abundance. For me, the year 2023 is going to be about devotion, like devotion to my principles, to my routines, to my habits, devotion to really connecting with my supreme creator, devotion to everything that brings me joy. So I think that's really important. And then also practically, I think it's setting, again, going back to the clarity on, your goal setting framework. So I think we start with your annual goal. We're just going to really zoom into 2023, start with your annual goals, then move into your quarterly goals, then move into your monthly goals, your weekly goals, your daily goals. Go granular and set aside the time and the space to really do this. If you want to do this by yourself, you could do this by yourself. If you want to do it with an accountability buddy you're going to be, running buddies for the year 2023 and hold each other to this. I just did this with one of my best friends, Lexi. We literally booked out one of those conference rooms and we got whiteboards and we just mapped out, all of our intentions, all of our goals for the year. And, we did the Warren Buffett method. And for those that are not familiar with the Warren Buffett, the secret principle, we wrote down 25 goals, like big, hairy, audacious goals. And then we started like crossing them off until we landed with our top 5. So I think that's really powerful. And so those 5, that's it. Like that's going to be the big 5 goals. And those are all encompassing of our personal and the professional. And, it's really powerful. I personally love, while you set your goal setting framework of the annual, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily goals, habits, and actions, having your weekly rhythm checklist, a well-being checklist, where you're checking in with yourself on how you're doing in your ways of being, your mindset. But I find it very powerful to focus on 90-day sprints. 90 days. And for a long time, I was using the Best Self Journal, and that's the journal that I would give to our students in the accelerator. Currently, we're using a different journal called the Momentum Journal. It's 90 days as well. There's something really powerful about the 90-day goals. It's like you have your big goals, you know where you're going, but you're setting it up and you're setting yourself up for success by just focusing in on chunks at a time. And so you're very clear on what the intentions, the sprints are for those 90 days. And breaking it down, what's going to happen weekly? What's going to happen daily? What are the biggest, most powerful value-producing activities that are going to set you up for success? Additionally, I think that having a systems equal freedom, right? I'll say that again, systems equal freedom. Set yourself up for success. Oftentimes, we're pretty good about declaring what we want, right? And I also want to just share that, the process of goal setting is inherently masculine. It's that you are, we have within us the masculine and the feminine ways of being, feminine energies. The masculine is about, hunter-gatherer, declaring, going, setting the target, and just like go, right? So this is inherently a very masculine energy. And I just want to encourage, folks to really embody and step into the essence of that, while also still incorporating the feminine essence and the flow, right? Not pushing and because what you inherently push for, you're pushing away. Like if you're like striving and holding on to it with such attachment, it's like pushing away from you. So set your goals, get very clear on what you want, be completely surrendered. Be completely surrendered and unattached, because the goals might change in the process. Again, you are married to the mission, date the methods. You are flexible, you are fluid, you're like water. You're fluid. The fluidity is coming in as you're going through the process of attaining your goals. And inherently, as you're attaining your goals, you are shifting, you are evolving. The you who is accomplishing these goals from week to week, like you're going to start becoming more disciplined. You're going to become more convicted. You're going to become more divine. Like whoever, like you're evolving, because at every moment, every second, who I was at the beginning of this podcast is different from who I am right now. Like whoever's listening, like you are not the same person anymore. Like you are now getting downloads. You're getting all this information. So find yourself a system that's going to support you in your goal setting process. Whether it's a planner, whether it's like you're a pencil paper person, whether it's like a digital planner. I like using Trello. I like using Asana. Nestor, I know that you use ClickUp. Mm-hmm. My friend and I just started using ClickUp also as well to really to track our goals. So find whatever it is for you. Like some people love Podia. Some people love Monday.com. Go research, go date the methods, go see what the methods are, date them, figure out what's going to be best for you. But I highly recommend having some sort of digital thing. I really like writing things down. I'm a really big, post-it person. I have post-its all over. Steve Harvey in Think Like a Success, Act Like a Success. He talks about when he was doing his show, the Steve Harvey show, his big goal was like 3-point-something million listeners, 3-point-something million downloads, 3-point-something million downloads. And so he is a very visual person. So he took his goal, took his really big, hairy, audacious goal, and he wrote it down everywhere. He had sticky notes on his wall at his bathroom. He put it on his phone. He put it in his shoes so that every time he was putting on his shoes and tying his shoes, he would be reminded of his goal. We tend to forget things. So if we're able to set ourselves up for success by just constantly visually putting things out, like we are so much more likely to achieve our goals. Also, the mind thinks in images. So once you have clarity on what your goals are, my strongest recommendation is find a way to create images around your goals, whether that's a vision board, whether that's just printing out pictures, whether that's having a wall. You can have a Canva document or a Canva template or something of like visually seeing what it is that you want. And that leads me to the next point, is that some of the most successful leaders of our time, they practice the art of visualization. They literally daily are consciously visualizing where they want to be. Conor McGregor is a really big example of this. In an interview, he said that right before a big fight, he is locking himself away for a while in an apartment, and he is going into daily visualization and training his mind. So I just want to underscore the power of the mind. David Goggins as well, like, talks about how visualization has completely transformed his life and is the most powerful trait or skill that has led him to where he is today. So I hope those are really practical tools there that can really support people.
Absolutely. You talk about mindset, and in 2022, I spent almost $40,000 with masterminds, coaching, reading books, and the power of visualization is what I walked away with. So I'm going to kind of walk you guys through my routine. It takes no more than 10 minutes a day for this routine, who has been powerful. It has completely shifted the way I think about life and has catapulted my success, frankly. The first thing is in the morning, I start with gratitude. Before I even look at my phone, before I look at anything, I think about what I'm grateful for now, but I also think about what I'm grateful for as if I've already accomplished what I want to do. So I thank myself for financial abundance. I thank myself for my wife not having to work and how amazing it is that she's taking care of the kids. I'm visualizing my future self. Then the second thing that I do in my journal, and then I go to my journal. I write a few thankful things the things that I'm thankful for, but then I also have my main 3 priorities for the day. Jim Collins says, if you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. And it's so important to just really be focused on those top 3 priorities, and then making sure that those top 3 priorities are supporting that bigger vision, a bigger goal that you have. And that's it, right? Like that's my morning thing. Then I come to work and I'm at it. I'm getting my top 3 goals out of the way. And we all kind of heard eat that frog, right? Like, what is the one thing that you have to do that day that really you don't want to do? Do it and get it done. And then at night, what I do is the same page that I have in my journal, I just write, like, I make 3 columns. And on the left-hand side, I write the things that I did. In the middle, I do a check mark next to the thing if it's something that I can delegate in the future, because one of the things that you want to do is you want to get rid of the 80% of the things that you're doing that are not contributing to the thing that you really want to accomplish, right? We all know that 20/80 rule by Richard Koch, which says that 20% of the activity actually equals 80% of the results. So that means that 80% of the stuff that you're doing is not really very helpful. So you want to see what you can delegate, and maybe it's something that you can't delegate right now, but you have the tool to go back to and study, what can I delegate now that I maybe have more income and I can hire who to help me do the thing that I need to do. And on the right-hand side, I write what that activity is leading. How is that helping me to meet my future goals? Because then you're going to naturally find out that you get distracted throughout the day. And there were things that you did that, they weren't adding to that goal, to the bigger picture. And before I go to bed, I have already accomplished the 3 things. I've already identified the 3 things that I want to do tomorrow. So I'm not waking up having to think about what is it that I need to do to be successful. I already know. My mind, while asleep, is thinking about these things. It's working on it, right? So it's not looking at social media. It's not looking at TV. It's just 3 things that I want to accomplish, and the day starts all over again. So if you guys follow those 2 things that I showed you, I'm 99.9% confident that your life will absolutely change. Well, Harry, this has been great. Like, we've talked about goal setting, what can get in the way. We've talked about some practical ideas. Was there anything else that was on your mind that you wanted to share with our audience today?
The gratitude piece, I think, is really critical. I think the spiritual component to goal setting is really powerful because you're really taking a leap of faith, and there's the grounding, but there's also the aspect of connecting with something greater than yourself. So for me, it's, every morning it's doing my meditation and my prayer, the connecting with the divine, and because otherwise I know that if that's not the case, then I'm going into my victim story, I'm going into the ego, that voice is so powerful. So whatever you can do to start your day with presence. We talked about goals, we talked about the big stuff, the 90 days goals, the weekly, but like every single day, like what are you doing to set yourself up for success?
Yes.
And everyone's going to have a different thing, but there are those foundational rituals and habits. You don't have to do the incantations or the affirmations. Tony Robbins would run around saying, for miles, telling himself, I'm unstoppable, I'm unstoppable. Jennifer Lopez is very well known to really be big on her affirmations, on self-love, and get very clear on all that. Maybe that's not for you, but just get very clear on, again, what is it that it works for you? And there has to be some sort of practice that presence, that has you presence yourself to the truth of who you really are, the reality of who you are, beyond the conditioning, beyond the stories, beyond the hurt, the trauma. Like the truth of who you are is unbridled joy, is unwavering peace and serenity. It's like unshakable worthiness and self-worth, and like, not because anybody says so, not because of your degrees or your accolades. It's simply because you exist. You're a child of the Creator, the Supreme. You're made in the reflection of that. And so every single day having a practice that brings you back to that, I think is really powerful. And it doesn't have to be religious. It's just coming back. And I think gratitude is a really good way to do that. So thank you for anchoring us in that.
Yes, absolutely. It's a beautiful thing. It's such a simple practice that has such powerful outcomes. I was listening to a podcast and someone said, things don't come with feelings. And so much of our society now is focused on things, wealth, cars, all this stuff, thinking that that's going to bring a feeling of happiness, of fulfillment, but it doesn't. We all know that it does not have that feeling, does not come with that long-term feeling. So gratitude is always there. Happiness is there. You just have to find it. Well, Harry, it's been an honor to have you on this show. Tell us how people can find you.
Absolutely. I've loved being on here, Nestor. Thank you for inviting me on the podcast. Folks can find me on Instagram at @TheHarryLopez. I have my business page at Launch Latinx, www.launchlatinx.co, or my personal www.harrylewislopez.com. We are currently, we have our open wait list for our next coaching program, our next accelerator called Lanzate. It's a 12-week coaching accelerator program where you come in with a project and you're joined by countless amazing, ambitious Latino entrepreneurs, creators, coaches who are all just going for it for 12 weeks. So if that's something that is of interest to you, please check it out. We'd love to have you. I just also started a blog called The Halo Project. It's all around consciousness. It's all about self-development, personal growth. So if that's of interest to you, please feel free to subscribe and follow me along on my nomadic travels. I'm in Thailand right now. I go to Bali next month, and just building the business. And this is all just a culmination of a lot of years of building a brand. So I'm just such a component of that. So if that's of interest to you, please follow along.
Absolutely. Follow Harry. You won't regret it. Harry, thank you so much for being here, man. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we can have you back again.
Thank you.
Bueno, pues, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I want to go ahead and ask you to please send me any questions you may have or any topics you want me to talk about. Go ahead and send them to Nestor, Nestor, at greencardstogreenbacks.com. I actually read every email you send, so I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to head over to greencardstogreenbacks.com for the show notes for this episode and really links to any resources we may have discussed. Bueno, amigos y amigas, nos vemos pronto. Let's go make those greenbacks.